Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam yasha Allah koholimla, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashem Rakahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who do rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M, Akawaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is Yahanawa, just coming at you with another quick lesson. Praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this article is in the Global Grind. It has come up over the years. It says the Great Replacement Theory. White people are terrified of becoming the minority. And when it comes to melanin, they are the minority. But there's no such thing as white people. So I wanted to touch on that as well. There are different shades of red people in the world. And there's no such thing as black people. There are just different shades of brown people in the world. Now, the Great Replacement Theory, if you haven't heard of it, is basically white people, so-called white people, are believing that they are being replaced by, these other races, so to speak, or, mainly so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's really them. Because, the scripture talks about how the Israelites, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, will be like the sand of the sea, or like the stars of heaven, innumerable. So we're definitely not the minority like they say we are. Now, we are cut up as a nation, so we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So within, like a continent like America, we would be small compared to the other race that, as far as the so-called white man. But if you collectively gather us from all the four corners of the earth, from all these nations that we've been scattered to, we will outnumber even, the Chinese. You know what I'm saying? So, and also that, that the replacement theory, remember, what was it, about a year or so ago when the so-called white guy, younger Edomite, probably about 20, 21, 22, whatever age he was, but he shot up the supermarket in New York, that killed, what I'm saying, the so-called, elders, the so-called black, grandmothers, and, he was a coward with it, but, that was the reason as to why he went and done what he done, according to replacement theory. When all he had to do was, he was a young, he was a young so-called white man. All he had to do was, if he felt that way that his people was being replaced, all he had to do was just hook up with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 so-called white girls, impregnate them, and those women should be a part of the cause, like, hey, we're being deleted. Hey, why aren't you so-called white women trying to, reproduce for your nation? Why aren't you so-called white men trying to reproduce for your nation? You know why you're not trying to do it? Because your own people have messed it up for everybody to have children. Because it's not affordable. Because he's working the dog shit out of you too, just like he's working the dog shit out of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. See, you're caught up and you're a damn slave as well, but you don't seem to realize it. So you're really you're the stupid one here. But let's get into a little bit of the article, and I'm gonna grab a couple of precepts, Yahweh Ratazah. It says white people, again, there's no such thing as white people. No one is out here looking like a glass of milk, man. That's the color white. It says they're terrified of becoming the minority. One writer shared an age-old theory with French origins known as the Great Replacement Theory, and how it's been adopted by many here in the U.S. Read more about why white people are anxious about a new America inside. Okay, that's a link. We're not going to go off into that. That could be another lesson, though. It says first, the census projects that white folks will become a minority in America by 2045. Now that's see that 2045 shit. We're praying that America doesn't last till 2025. So 2045, that's a stretch. And that's how proud these so-called white people are. No, we're praying that the Lord be came back and really giving you the punishment that you're gonna get. And your punishment, really, you're thinking you're the minority now, or you're becoming the minority. Guess what? You're gonna become totally obsolete. You're gonna become totally deleted, man. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. You're not gonna have to worry about becoming the minority, because right here in Obadiah chapter 1. It's only one chapter, Salakia, so. But let me get verse 18. Yeah, let me just get to the point. Let's just get verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. So that's the northern and southern kingdom coming together as far as Israel. And the house of Esau, which is the so-called white race, for stubble. So fire to grass, or stubble or branches, what does that mean? Hey, it's going to be a kindling, man. They're going to be burnt up. It says, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh has spoken it. So none of you are going to be left here after a certain amount of time. You're going to get it in. We're going to put you to work real good, during that captivity. You see, that's another lesson as well. But that's what's going to happen. See, you're going to reap everything that you've sown when our Lord comes back, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. His name is Yahushua, which means he's the savior or deliverer in Paleo Hebrew. And he's coming with a rod of iron, man. He's going to defeat all you nations. and the nation of Israel are going to come up and be on top just like we're on the bottom. It's going to be a role reversal. And that's what's about to happen to you so-called white people. So don't worry about you being somewhat deleted, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? Another thing, too. Let me point this out. Let's go to Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 real quick. Because, see, what you have to realize is, now, color-wise, because, see, this is not a color thing. See, Esau is talking about it from a color thing. He's talking about it, as black and white. But this thing is a spiritual thing. This is about it, if you go by the DNA of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are an Israelite. If you go by the DNA of Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, you're an Edomite. And that's the biblical name for the so-called white man. So there are actually people out here that look like so-called black people that are Edomites, that are actually so-called white people, if for lack of better terms. Because the so-called white man, see, he has sown his seed for a really long time, and starting with slavery. He was sleeping with the so-called black women, and he was having seed or children with them so-called black women. And those children were coming out looking like chocolate babies. So those chocolate babies were actually so-called white people. You see? They were Edomites. So those Edomites, chocolate-covered babies, grew up. Those boys, the little boys, chocolate-covered babies, grew up, got with a so-called black woman, had sex with the so-called black woman, and then that chocolate color continued, but those are Edomites. Those are so-called white people. So don't get it twisted when it comes to what Esau is trying to say here. Because his biblical nationality is he's Esau. He's not white. He's pinkish to reddish in color. And that's the way that the scripture describes Esau. It said he came out red. You see? And they have like when they get cold, they red, they laugh, they get red, they try and go out into the sun and try and, tan and try and do something about it. But that sun be tearing their asses up. That sun is not a good thing for them. That's the reason why they're always, showering themselves in damn suntan lotion. You see? But anyway, this is Numbers chapter 1 in verse 18. Let's just prove that the seed line goes by your father. Salah. Seed line goes by your father. Verse 18, it says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. See that? According to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. So your lineage, your pedigree, see it says pedigree right here. That goes off into your lineage. That goes off into your family tree, so to speak. That goes off into your ancestry. Your ancestry goes by the father, because your father, he's the one that carries the seed, or the sperma or sperm, which are children to begin with. He carries that seed. So whatever the father is, that's exactly what the children are. It doesn't matter what they come out looking like. So a so-called white man, he can get with a so-called black woman. The child can come out looking like a so-called black child, but it's actually what he is. See? It's a seed thing. You have to think about like apples, for instance. You have red apples, green apples, you have yellow apples, you have bush apples, you have all different types of apples, but they're all apples. Right? Or think about roses. You have red roses, pink roses, yellow roses. It's even the family in the jungle. You have panthers, you have jaguars, you have leopards, You have snow leopards. You have lions. You have panthers, pumas. You know, you have all these different cats, but they're all from the cat family, so to speak. So you are what your father is. So I just wanted to point that out, you know, because that's very important to know. Because when Esau get to talking about white, you know, they have people out here thinking that everybody that looks like a so-called white person is a so-called white person, and it's not. That's you know, that's a social construct, and it's confusion because really he doesn't want you to know that he's a fugitive in the earth, right? So let's get some more. It says, so statistics prove that white people are in fact being replaced with more interracial dating, marriages, and co-creation. Their bloodline is on the verge of being non-existent. That's not true. That bloodline is still here. They're just looking like, because there's so-called white people out here that look like Chinese, Japanese, Cambodians, Filipinos, you know what I'm saying? Because that seed, see, when you have a great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-grandfather, if that seed can go way back 4 or 5 generations where a person could, you know, be, they just don't look like what they originally, you know, the original great-great-great-great-grandfather looked like, but they're still from his seed line. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, that's very important to know, man. It says, as the white population shrinks by percentage and numbers, the GRT becomes even more realistic for the American people. In the article published by Level, some white people are being bombarded with messages saying they are victims of reverse discrimination. Brown people are streaming across the U.S. southern border and being handed voters' registration cards. And affirmative action is depriving white and Asian students of opportunities. However, statistics show white women have historically been more favorable of these opportunities. See, they don't be telling you all that. The issue white people face today is that their privilege is dwindling. You can't simply exist as a white person and survive in America. White people's reality used to be that if you came from a well-off family and got an education, you had a reasonable expectation of success. You could surely inherit the family business or depend on nepotism and relationships to advance your career. Their only competition came from their peers as minorities were systematically provided fewer opportunities to which they now have more access. The article also cites certain moments throughout American history that made white people shiver with the fear of losing their beloved privilege in this country. And you know why? When former President Barack Obama was elected in 2008, white folks believed it to be the beginning of a post-racial America. This terror caused America to elect his polar opposite, former President Donald Trump, with the rallying cry of "Make America Great Again." See, and another thing, Barack Obama, man, he's a Hamite. He's not a Shemite. He's not one of us. And that's another thing that Esau does. See, like I said, you can have somebody that looks like us, but they're not actually us. See, like you have Tracy Ellis Ross. She looks like a so-called black woman, but her father is a so-called white man. So that makes her an Edomite. Jussie Smollett and that's Smollett kids. They're another version of that. Those are so-called white people. And you have like Lenny Kravitz. That's a so-called white man because his father is a so-called white man. You have the Maury twins. You know, some pretty young ladies, but those are so-called white women. You see? So you have to realize that we're talking about a seed line here. It doesn't go, it has nothing to do with color because white and black, those are not nationalities in the scriptures. Everyone on this planet has a biblical nationality. And the Lord is going to come back and he's going to show exactly who's who. And that's where you get the, I'm going to have to go into a little bit of it. Let's go off into the parable of the wheat and the tares, right? And this is Yahushua that's speaking on the parable of the wheats and the tares. And this is, you know, going off into, because first off, let's get this. Let me show you something real quick. I always like to bring this up because when I grew up in the South, I kind of understood this. You know, now when you put in wheat, right? If you're a farmer, if you're familiar with farming, wheat and tares, right? Now what you're going to see is when you go into images, wheat look just like tares. They're not the same thing, but they look alike. See? And the valuable part of and they grow together. That's the thing. They'll grow right up alongside each other, but you can't tell until the end of the harvest. So see, like this picture right here. See, they're similar. They look alike. See, that's wheat right there, and that's the tares right there. So they look alike, but you can't tell until they actually grow up, until the actual end of the growing process. You know what I'm saying? So here's another one, right? So right here you have the wheat, and right here you have a tare. They look exactly alike almost. Until, like I said, once they get bigger, once they get to the end of the harvest, that's when you can actually tell. But as they're growing up together, you can't tell. Now let's go into the parable, right? What Yahushua was talking about. Um, let's start. Let's go in here. I'm going to start up a little bit here. Let's see. The parable of the wheat and tares. It says tares among wheat. Parable of wheat and weeds. Verse 24. Matthew 13:24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blades were sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So they're growing up together. So the servants of the household came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then had the tares? And he said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? So the servants are asking the Lord, hey, you want us to go out there and snatch those tares on up? We can, get them on out of the way, basically. But he said, Nay. He said, No. Lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. See, the tares are going to get burnt. So the tares in this particular parable are the so-called white people that look like so-called black people. Those are tares. You see? And let's get the rest. It says, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So the wheat is valuable, but the tares is just it's just gonna be burnt. It's just stubble, man. Now let's go to the Lord actually he explained it. Here's the explanation, because the disciples wanted to know the breakdown to the parable of the wheats and the tares. Verse 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away, and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. So they want to know what's popping, because they didn't understand it. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. So that's Yahushua, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. The field is the world. See that? The good seed are the children of the kingdom, which are the Israelites. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. See? So there's a wicked people out here. The enemy that sows them is the devil. And that word devil goes off into, let's get it real quick. Let's go up into the word devil, because when people hear the word devil, they thinking of some red guy underground with a damn pitchfork. You know what I'm saying? With laughing and shit with some goons flying around him, telling people to get into that lake of fire, and that's not true. The word is diablos, G1228, and it is prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely, a calumniator, Salakia, false accuser, slanderer. That's what it's going into. This is a slanderer. This is a person that tells lies. It's not some red guy he's got the red spandex suit on with the triton, the pitchfork, and he's poking people in it. No, the word devil just goes off into a slanderer, a liar, man. It says, applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of God, may be said to act a part of the devil or to side with him. So it's basically going off into a slanderer. Here you go, right here. A traducer. especially Satan. See that word Satan, it goes off into adversary. It just means adversary. It doesn't mean some red guy underground. So that's something that the so-called white man has pushed out here with fairy tales, man. See, it says false accuser, devil, slanderer. Let's get this traducer. Let me see what that is. Oh, they not okay, Salakia. I thought they would let me go into the definition, but you get the point. So let's get that back again. It says the enemy that sows them is the devil, which is a slanderer, a damn liar. He's running around out here calling himself white when he's red. He's running around out here calling us black when we're brown. He's a damn liar, man. It says the harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. So this harvest is coming up because we're in the end of the world. It's coming up. These reapers, the angels, are about to come through and reap. You know, I mean, the Lord in general is going to come through. You know, but he's gonna, the mark is gonna be put on. Well, the mark is already on these elect of Israel, man. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna be gathered up. You know, Salakia. Verse 40 it says, as therefore the tares are gathered and burned in a fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. So they're going to be burnt up. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. See? But see the wheat and tares right here. Like I said again, they look just like us. They look just alike. But when that harvest come, that's when you can tell. And see, the Lord, he knows. The Lord knows the spirits, man. He's the father of spirits. So he knows the spirits. Every single spirit that's within a person, he knows exactly what they are. They can't, Esau can't smooth that over. Because he's been trying to get color since the days that he married two, I think he married two Hamites. When he, because, remember Isaac didn't, basically that's why Jacob ended up getting a wife of, his own nation, so to speak. And what did Isaac do? Slakia, what did Esau do? He overheard, Isaac. He knew that his mother and father didn't want them basically marrying Hamites. But he went in, being, the fucking reject and, badass kid that he is, he went and married Hamites. And mainly, you know what I'm saying? So he wanted some of that color because he married into some dark races, man, and had children with those dark races. And so there's a lot of chocolate covered Edomites out here. So it's not just, they're, like I said again, don't get the white thing twisted. It's not, no one's white. Think about Edomites. Them goddamn Edomites is out here and they're running throughout the earth. And it's certain people that you may think that's a so-called black person. They're actually so-called white people, man, in black skin. And that shit's scary. Anyway, let's see what else they got in here. I didn't want to keep this long. Another time white people's nerves were put through the ringer was when President Joe Biden appointed a black woman to Supreme Court. Ketanji Brown Jackson was criticized as an affirmative action pick. Anyway, that's some other shit. We don't even need to know about her. They questioned her smart ass, and she couldn't even tell them what a woman was. Anyway, yeah, they going off into a whole bunch of other stuff right there. But you get the point. Esau is not disappearing like how they're saying they are. Now, color-wise, like I said, let's not get it twisted. The color has nothing to do with it. But color-wise, they are phasing as far as like that look. As far as the so-called white man. But there's plenty of them out here. There's plenty of damn Edomites out here. Even that look like so-called white men and women. Because I be watching the Euro news, and it's countries where you never even see a nigga. All you see is damn Edomites. I'm watching Euro news right now on the TV. It's on mute. But Euro news, man, that's all that you see is Edomites. So it's a bunch of them still out here. Don't get me wrong. But are they, kind of diminishing somewhat? Yes, they are. But you don't get it twisted now, because there are chocolate colored Edomites out here. That's what you have to look at the biblical nationality of the people. None of these races are, matter of fact, there's a scripture that talks about that. How was it worded? Salakia. I can't think how it was worded. but it's I think I can't think I was worded. It's roughly paraphrasing it. It talks about there's no end of men. There's no end of nationalities basically. I can't think how that thing is worded. Slovakia. Oh, here you go right here. Slovakia. Yeah. Oh, praises to Yahweh Shem Shai. Ecclesiastes 14, 4 and 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is a vanity and vexation of spirit. But the point that I wanted to make right there is there is no end of all the people. There's no end of Esau. Esau, he's gonna be here. He's gonna get the punishment that's coming to him, just like all the other races of people. They're here, man. Biblically, all those nations, the 18 nations that the Lord created, those people are here on this planet. It's just that people have been mingling, and they're looking like different people. They're looking like different nations, but there's no end of all the people, man. These people are still here. Esau's still here, and like I said again, he done blended in with everybody. That sneaky rat bastard. He has blended in with everyone. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna end out there, man. So with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwam Yashala.